Thank you all for being here tonight for Cooking with Essential Oils. Welcome. My name is Janice Imbrogno. I am a home economist and essential oils educator, and I have some really interesting and fun things to teach you about cooking with essential oils. I don't know what brought you here tonight, and I'm curious, do you like essential oils and you came because that brought out your curiosity, or do you love to cook and you wanted to learn something different? So I'd be curious, and as I said, feel free to use the chat. I'm going to start the program now. Just bear with me for a second. Okay, here we are, cooking with essential oils. All right. So I wanted to share my contact information because I am an educator and there's a lot more reference material, blogs and articles on my website and social media. I'll put this up again at the end, but if anything I teach you tonight piques your interest and you would like to learn more, then feel free to go to my website or social media. So as I told you, I'm a home economist. I was a home economics teacher, family and consumer sciences for 35 years. I've done a lot of cooking with my students and a lot of health related and wholesomeness related things. Everything that I've been teaching and my whole focus was the health and happiness of the family. That being said, I am not a medical professional. I have no medical background. So please, if we talk about anything with nutrition or health, always consult your medical professional. So let's start here with talking about essential oils, and I will explain more as I go along, but I want you to know that they are already a part of your diet. So you eat fruits and vegetables and plants, just like the grapefruit in this picture. When you cut that grapefruit open, you're smelling the essential oils. And if you chew a piece of spearmint gum, it was flavored with an essential oil. If you grow basil or mint in your garden and you smell that lovely scent when you pick the plant or you're close to it, that is an essential oil. So if you put some oregano on your pizza, same thing. These plants just by nature have these aromatic compounds, and they're food grade, and our bodies metabolize them as if we were eating them as part of the food. So they're just nothing new. Although you like essential oils, like I'll tell you more about what they are, but I just want you to know that you're already exposed to these. Even if you've walked in the forest or in the woods and you smell the pine, that's the essential oil from the pine trees. So they are a part of your life already. So why would you want to cook with them? First of all, they're a brighter flavor. They're vibrant. It's more alive. It's not a dried herb. It's also easier to store and have on hand for long-term use. So let me just talk to you for a minute with an oil. Like for example, here's basil. I'm going to be showing you a lot. This one is oregano. So if you have, I'll show you my little part of my collection. Here's some of my collection of the essential oils that I cook with. So, oh, excuse me, I just have to, when new people come on, the library wants attendance, so I just have to write down some names. So when when you have these oils in your house, they're always readily available. You don't have to worry about running out to the store because you need a bunch of parsley or you need some fresh basil. If you want to do that, that's fine. But when you have this collection of essential oils in your house, you always have a backup. You always have an alternative. And again, they're fresh, they're vibrant, and they just add such a different kick. The other nice thing about them is when you cook or for other people and you entertain, using these essential oils are going to make your dishes stand out from everybody else because they just have that little bit more alive flavor. The other thing is you don't have to buy a large quantity. So say, for example, you needed some cilantro and you just need the littlest bit. If you go out and buy a whole bunch of cilantro or a whole bunch of parsley, and then it just goes bad. But if you're using the essential oil and you have these all in, it's convenient. You just use a drop, you close up the little bottle, and you're ready to go. So it saves on waste. It can be more economical. It could definitely save money. It gives you a little edge when you're, when you're entertaining, if you want things to be different. It also cuts down on your prep time because you don't have to wash and dry and prep. The oil is already processed. It does save you money when you need a small amount. It's great when you can't find hard to find ingredients. So for example, there is an essential oil called bergamot, and that is a small green citrus fruit, and that might be hard to find, but the oil might be more easily uh, um, available to you. And also, if you run out the last minute, if you have a collection of essential oils to cook with and you need some lemon zest, you can just, you can just quick substitute, even if that wasn't what you were originally intending to use. So I'm going to talk to you about Citrus Fresh essential oil first. And these are some ideas what you can use it in. But let me show you the oil. And I want to explain a couple of things. First of all, this Citrus Fresh is a blend. Now, today we're going to cook brownies with peppermint. You know that peppermint essential oil comes from the peppermint plant, lavender comes from the lavender plant, orange, and so on and so on. They just come from the plant. But there are also some essential oils that are blends, and Citrus Fresh is an example of this. So in this bottle are the essential oils of orange, mandarin, tangerine, grapefruit, lemon, and a little bit, I want to make sure, I'm going to say it one more time. Orange, mandarin, grapefruit, lemon, tangerine, and a little bit of spearmint. And it's just absolutely wonderfully refreshing. And I'm going to show you right now a couple of ways that I use it. I also wanted to mention, do you see I have 2 bottles of Citrus Fresh? I'm going to show you another essential oil. Maybe we'll talk about this later, called Thieves. And you see the same thing. There's a white bottle and a colored bottle. So before I ingest this and show you how I'm going to use it, I want to explain. The FDA says that the FDA says you can't label something for ingestion and for topical use. So for example, this Citrus Fresh, or the Thieves, I may put on my feet, I might diffuse it in a diffuser. It's the exact same oil, and it's pure, and it's the exact same one that I cook with or that I put in my water. But to be compliant with the FDA, we label one for ingestion, and that's called the Vitality line, and we label one for topical and diffusing use. So the first thing I love this for is to put a drop of water. Put it in a drop of water. So if any of you are trying to drink more water, just 1 drop. And if you put, if it, I was just going to say, if 2 comes out, that's okay. And then I just have a metal straw. When you use essential oils, don't use plastic unless it's a heavy metal, heavy medical grade plastic, because essential oils, especially citrus essential oils, will start to melt the plastic away. And if you're drinking out of a plastic cup and you put essential oils and then it starts to dissolve the plastic and you drink it, that's not good for you. So anyway, that just adds a little. Now remember, it has all those citrus oils and a little bit of spearmint, and it tastes really good. It's so fresh, it's so natural. There's no chemicals. It's not processed like drinks that you buy in the store. But if you're tired of that plain old water, I think this is a really nice, really, really nice change. Now, another thing you could do is put it in something. Citrus Fresh is great in a vanilla glaze. It's great in yogurt. And you would do the same thing. You would just take 1 drop or 2 drops. That's all you need, because the essential oils are very, very concentrated. They're much more concentrated than the dried herbs or spices that you're going to need. And I'm going to give you conversions later on, but you could just stir that in your yogurt. If you made a fruit dip, if you made a glaze, say you make a vanilla glaze, you could put a little bit of orange essential oil in your vanilla glaze and make an orange glaze. So there's really, the possibilities are endless, and I'm going to give you some ideas, but you can really be very, very creative with this. So let's go back to Citrus Fresh. And then I'm going to give you a couple more ideas. It's really, believe it or not, great in guacamole, but so is lime. There's lime essential oil. And if you're making marinades, even like a chicken or a fish marinade, you can add a little bit of this. And if you want to make a healthy ice pop, just mix some of this in water and add a little stevia to it and freeze it. And it's a really nice natural ice pop. So that's Citrus Fresh. And now I want to show you some ideas with peppermint. Peppermint is very, very, very potent. So I'm going to show you a different way to use peppermint. It goes great with chocolate. And orange seems to go good with chocolate too. I'm going to use this in when I demonstrate the brownies tonight, but I love to put a drop in my hot chocolate in water, but not a drop. I'm going to show you. You can also use it in coffee. Another popular essential oil to put in coffee happens to be cinnamon bark. So some people like to put cinnamon bark in their coffee and for brownies. So let me just show you how I would use peppermint. So when I put this in hot chocolate, for some reason, a drop is okay, but you want to stir it up really well. And there is fat in the milk in the hot chocolate. So this dissolves in it very well. Essential oils dissolve very well in other fatty oils. This is not a fatty oil, but if you're just going to put this, like I'm going to do right now, in water, if I were to put one drop on here, it would float to the top. And if I wasn't very, very careful to stir it in and I drank it, it wouldn't do harm, but it would be very stingy and tingly on my lips. It's the same thing for those of you who put essential oils in your bath water. It's always a good idea to mix them with Epsom salts and then put it in your bath. If you just sprinkle essential oils on the top of your bath water, they're going to float on the top. And if you splash, you can get it in your eye. And I will, well, let me tell you right now, if by accident you get essential oils in your eye, say you're cooking with it and you touch the peppermint and then you wipe your eye, it's going to sting a lot. Never throw water in your eye because water just drives essential oils in even more. So you would get a fatty oil like olive or coconut or grapeseed, put it on a little cloth and just wipe from the inside of your eye out, and that'll grab the essential oil out of your eye. It's the best way to do it. So now let me tell you how I make peppermint water. First of all, I love peppermint water. It's very invigorating when you want to wake up. Just even smelling peppermint essential oil really, really wakes you up. This is great. And well, let me show you this first. You want to take the top, or so you might be able to, we're going to use a toothpick, and you see, you might be able to put it through. My toothpicks, I think, are a little thick for the opening. So I just use the cap and I take this little top off. And then I'll put a toothpick in here and I'll swirl it. And this is great for any essential oil. Once you put it in, you can't take it out. And again, they're very, very concentrated. They're very, very potent. So if you put a drop of thyme or oregano in a sauce and you put too much in, it's not good. So sometimes you want to start with just a toothpick swirl. So you do that. And then I swirl that in the water. And I can stir it around if I want, because again, you don't want anybody, I'm used to it, but you don't want anybody to get their mouth all tingly and stingy and that kind of thing. But now this is so refreshing. I encourage you, if you're curious to try this. I think these are just the best resource to have, just to kick up your food, to kick up the water, to add that unexpected flavor. I mean, if on a hot summer day, if you put a little bit of peppermint essential oil into a big pitcher of ice water, and you could float some cucumber slices on it, you can do whatever you want, but you serve that to guests or just serve that to yourself. It's going to be, again, just so refreshing, so different, so energizing. It's great. Now, I'm going to show you more formally, but these are tiny squares of the peppermint brownies we're going to make today. If you're tired, if you just need a little bit of a pick-me-up, if you want a snack and if you want a treat and you want something a little healthy and you drink a big glass of water with a little square of these healthy peppermint brownies that we're going to make, I just think that that's just a really nice different thing. And I hope I have so many more, but I hope by now you have some ideas, and feel free to use the chat and ask some questions. I want to tell you, this is just a picture of some different essential oils. So I just wanted, before I go further and get into even more recipes, I want you to understand what they are. And I'd be curious in the chat if any of you use essential oils or if you have any questions about them. So essential oils are part of the plant. Plants have an immune system, and they also very often have aromatic fragrance. So when a part of the plant, such as the fruit, the bark, the leaf, the stem, the flower, the grass, the root, is put in a big vat with steam, the water soluble molecules separate from the fat soluble molecules, and that's how they get the essential oil. That's it. That's all you want. So for example, right here, I have grapefruit essential oil. This comes, and I do have from Ellie, will you be giving out your info? Yes, just in case, I will have a slide at the end, but my website is homehealthandspirit.com. All my social media is Home Health and Spirit, and I have even more info there. So the citrus fruits come from the peel. This is only liquid from the peel of the grapefruit, nothing else. All these oils that we're cooking with, no chemical solvents, they're only distilled with steam, no fragrance, no perfume, no heavy metals, no pesticides, no herbicides. These are all grown on farms that are hand weeded, and that's why they're pure, and that's why you can cook with them. So please don't do your research, be a good consumer. I will absolutely help you if questions. I have articles how to be a good consumer and check this stuff out on my website. But I don't want you to go to the store and buy a perfumey oil with synthetic fragrance and then go to cook with it. So that part is really important. And let me just see if there's anything else in chat. Okay, I think I'm caught up. All right, and here I wanted to explain again, here is a picture of a farm that was to remind me to tell you what I just did is make sure you don't use an oil that was grown with any herbicides or pesticides. And here are fatty oils, and again, I wanted to tell you the difference between the two. These are often in the essential oil lingo, they're called carrier oils. You use these to dilute oils. So as I just taught you, by error, if you get an essential oil in your eye when you're cooking or doing anything else, you want to grab it out with a fatty oil. If you're putting essential oils on your skin and you want to dilute them, you dilute them with a fatty oil. Coconut oil, fractionated coconut oil, olive, avocado, grapeseed, any of those are fatty oils. Essential oils are thinner liquids. I'm going to show you. Let me just stop the share for a second. I'm going to put a drop. This is Citrus Fresh on my hand so you can see it come out, how thin it is. Can you see? It's like watery. And some essential oils, I like to breathe these in. And you can use them for that too. If you have them in your house to cook, you can still use them. They have lots of other purposes, and citrus oils are very cheery. They have the energy of the sun, so I often diffuse them. And before we go on to cooking, let me just show you what a diffuser is. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, but this is just a little machine. There's cold water and some drops of essential oil in here. And this is a cool mist. It humidifies a tiny bit, but it's not like a humidifier. The purpose of this is to put essential oils into the air. Now, if you do cook a lot, there's an essential oil called Purification, that either Purification or the Citrus Fresh that I showed you. These are great at combating odors naturally. Another story, another class, but something like Those chemical odor eliminators are really, really toxic. Again, do your research. So this is a natural way not to use synthetic fragrances in your home to lift your mood. And if it's a rainy, dull day, or you're just not in the best of mood, diffusing something like Citrus Fresh is going to absolutely lift your spirits. And so it's a nice companion to have when you cook. All right, so those are just some examples of the Vitality essential oils, and they come in different categories. And as you can see, I mentioned a few of them. I didn't mention jade lemon. That's one of my favorite ones, but there are citrus, there are herbs, there are spices, and there are also supplements. There are essential oils that are safe for ingestion. Like, for example, I showed you the thieves essential oil. You wouldn't really cook with it, but you could. It has nice immune boosting properties. You could put it in a spoonful of honey. You can make a tea with it. I often put a drop of frankincense under my tongue. You know, you can take these as supplements too, but so these are all the ingestible oils. There are almost, is it 40, or I think there's approximately 40 of them. So there really are a lot available to you. So let's start with some recipes, and this will be provided to you. I'm going to email all these recipes to the library, and if you know me personally, just let me know. I'll send you the packet. So here's a recipe for honey lavender lemonade. And as I said, you may, it might be summertime and you want to be the hostess or host that does things a little bit different than everybody else. Lavender, you can also, well, this is great. It's different. You can, if you make your own ice cream or sorbets or anything like that, you can use lavender essential oil in sorbets and lemonades. The only thing I wanted to point out is it does not look purple like this picture. They used some natural food coloring in this, but this recipe, it will look more like lemonade color. The lavender essential oil is all natural and it's not purple. So here are two other recipes that I wanted to share for beverages. So we know we can put essential oils in water, we can put them in hot chocolate, we can put them in coffee, you can put them in tea, and you could make nice beverages with them also. All right, so let's talk about basil. So if you're making a salad, a caprese salad, and you're going to drizzle your olive oil on it, and the caprese salad has the fresh mozzarella cheese and the tomato, and you don't have the basil, well, you can just add a drop of your basil essential oil into your olive oil before you drizzle it on. Essential oils, like today, I'm going to bake brownies, and I'm going to share a delicious cookie recipe. But usually essential oils are used more often in uncooked foods than in cooked foods, but it runs the gamut. Basil is also, this is a great recipe for an avocado basil dip. And the recipe is right there and you will get it. Basil smells wonderful. You can put a drop in your homemade tomato sauce. And I'm sure, you can get creative with this and you can experiment and try some different things. Black pepper essential oil. Now, it might sound strange, but not that I do it that often. I don't like commercial orange juice, but I love to use a juicer and squeeze my own fresh orange juice. Somebody once suggested putting a little black pepper in it. So I tried a toothpick swirl of black pepper essential oil, and it was great. And this recipe is also really good. This is a Greek yogurt coleslaw, and it's made with the black pepper essential oil. Now, if you don't have the essential oil, can you make this recipe and put some black pepper in it? Sure. There's no hard and fast rules. Have fun with this. Enjoy your cooking. This should be enjoyable. And if you don't have, I love having the oils, but if you don't, like for example, in this recipe for this dill veggie dip, it gives you an option where you can use the dill vitality essential oil or the dry dill weed, the lemon vitality essential oil or the lemon juice. When I make lemon water, I get a nice big pitcher, especially for entertaining, a big pitcher of water, and I slice some organic lemons in it. I love to add a drop or two of lemon essential oil into that, but you don't necessarily have to, because just using the lemons, you're getting lemon essential oil in it. But, you know, having the jars of it is just a nice change. So that is another recipe for you. This idea I love, putting some orange essential oil. The vitality means it's labeled for ingestion. And by putting that in your pancakes or waffle batter, your baked goods, your smoothies, so good. If you're making a vanilla smoothie and you add some orange, you have like a creamsicle smoothie. You can also use some of these as supplements. Like I told you, I take thieves, I take frankincense internally. Some people take orange or lemon internally for their antioxidant properties. So you can also do that. Now, these are the cookies that I rave about. I just love them. And I'm going to show you, I made a batch. So I will show you. And what's so nice about these, look, there's no white flour in it. Yes, there's sugar in the form of coconut sugar, but there's almond butter and it's almond flour. Now, if you have a nut allergy, these won't be good for you, but they're really good. And they're just, I think, just a nice alternative to white sugar, white flour. This is the recipe to make them, and it's really easy, really, really quick and easy. All right, now I'm gonna be cooking soon. Okay, here's the guilt-free peppermint brownies that we are going to make today. And surprise, surprise, they're made with black beans, which you would never in a million years. Look, yeah, let me stop the sharing. Well, when I go over, I'm gonna take you into my kitchen in just a minute, but they just look like brownies. You would have no idea that there are black beans in that. They're really, really good. Okay, let me just go back to the recipe. And I'm going to be taking, like I said, I'm going to be taking you into the kitchen, but there's cocoa powder, vanilla, honey. We're going to put peppermint essential oil, and they're going to be really good. That's the recipe. Now, if you don't want to make brownies with black beans and you have a favorite brownie recipe, or you make it from a mix, just add 2 drops of peppermint essential oil, or to taste. You can just take your favorite recipes. You don't have to use mine. So we're going to bake now. So this is what we're going to do. You get a little stretch break. This will take me 30 seconds I'm just going to move the computer over into my kitchen so I can do the demonstration. Then we're going to come back after that, and I'm going to share some more recipes and some more of the ins and outs of cooking with essential oils. If you have any questions, feel free to, put them in the chat. While I'm behind the kitchen counter, I won't be able to reach the computer, and I'll answer them afterward. If you need to stretch, to get a glass of water, to go to the bathroom, now's a good time. And like I said, I'm just going to carry you with me while I go over to the kitchen. Okay. Set you up in my kitchen, and hopefully you can see everything well. Let's see. Okay. Just maybe move you a little. I think you guys could see okay, right? Maybe just a little closer. Okay, so here we go. First thing I'm going to do, always this, remember I told you I was a home economics teacher. You have to follow the rules. You have to wear an apron, tie back your hair, of course, wash your hands. So that's really important. That's just so ingrained in me. And since I'm here, I'm also going to preheat the oven to 350. Now, coconut oil is solid at room temperature, but you can see on the stove, I melted some, so I will be getting that in a minute, but I don't know if you guys can see. Actually, it's solid at room temperature when it's colder out. In the summer, this is usually, we're going to use it in a recipe. This is usually liquid. So fractionated, just in case you need to, if you hear the term fractionated coconut oil, those of you who use essential oils, you make rollers, we usually use fractionated coconut oil because that always stays liquid. Regular coconut oil gets hard at cold temperatures. Now, if you want to know the difference between refined coconut oil and unrefined coconut oil, refined is processed, so it doesn't have as much coconut flavor. So say, for example, you want to fry or cook with coconut oil, but you don't want the coconut flavor, then use the refined. If you want the coconut flavor, then use the unrefined. It doesn't matter in this recipe. I used the unrefined, so I wanted to tell you that. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is a can of black beans, and I put them here. Here's my can. I want to just tell you a couple of things about this. It must be reduced sodium. I don't know if you could see, because you don't want salty brownies. And these were drained in a colander and they were rinsed and dried. I'm going to give you a couple little kitchen and cooking tips. Do you see there's a date on that can? A lot of times you waste food in your pantry because the food goes bad and you don't see the dates, and it's so small and the ink matches, you can't even read the date. So if you look closely when you first come home from the supermarket, put a little, this looks a little messy, it's masking tape, but just see it says 11/22. If you date your food so that you can see it easily, you can rotate it easily. All right, so, before I start, these are the brownies when they're all done. Everybody see? Okay. And these are the orange cranberry cookies. They come out a little, they come out a little dark because the coconut sugar is dark, but I wanted to show you that. All right, so we have that. And then we're going to need the coconut oil, 1/3 of a cup. So I'm going to use a liquid measuring cup. And as I said, I melted it. And when you measure liquids, always measure at eye level. So I'm going to get 1/3 of a cup in there. Okay, I'm not going to let that coconut oil go down the sink. Okay, so we need that. Now we need 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa. It's always good whenever you bake. I don't know how you guys do it, but if you can get everything out to start and measure your ingredients, now once we start putting this together, it'll be 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to scoop in. Can you see? I'm just going to scoop in and level off 1/4 cup, and I used a dry measuring cup for this. That's baking cocoa. That's not hot chocolate. Okay. And I want to make sure I have everything. We need a little bit of salt. So let me teach you a little bit about salt. A lot of people buy processed salt, like, not that I'm saying anything like Morton salt or whatever. That's highly, highly processed. It's put under a lot of heat. It's refined. They add anti-caking agents. It kills all the natural minerals in it. They add iodine back, but in today's world, most people get enough iodine. It's not an issue. So I like to use, this is real salt. I also like to use pink Himalayan salt or sea salt, like anything that's natural, because it has so many minerals in it. And also, some people have to watch salt in their diet, but in all our processed foods, the manufacturers are not buying the good stuff. So the very, very highly processed, bleached, heated to high temperature, anti-caking agent salt, that's what's in your processed food. So that's another nice reason for cooking from scratch. So in this recipe, we need some salt, and I'll measure that as we put the ingredients in the food processor. And we're going to need vanilla extract and peppermint essential oil. And we're going to need some honey, which I'll measure next. So with the food processor, we're going to make this in a food processor. I'm very safety conscious. I don't like to plug it in until I'm ready to, just before I use it, because of the very sharp blade. But what we're going to do is put our ingredients in. So there's the black beans. And I'm going to put the coconut oil. I need this to measure. I'm going to put the cocoa powder. So we have that. All right, and then we need 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. So some people say that it's a pinch or it's a 1/2 of a 1/4 teaspoon. It doesn't have to be exact. I just eyeball it. A 1/2 of a 1/4 teaspoon is my salt. And the vanilla, 2 teaspoons. Now, technically you should not measure over your bowl, because if you slip and you get too much, okay, our oven's ready. The only thing is, I'm going to end up eating these, and I love vanilla. So even though the recipe calls for 2, I'm going to add 3. Okay. And then peppermint, we need 2 drops. And then we have to add our honey. And I left the honey for last because I want to teach you something else, give you a little trick to measure honey. Honey is very thick and gooey, and it sticks to the measuring cup. So I measured the coconut oil in here before, and now I'm going to take some natural unbleached, I'll just show you. I used natural unbleached parchment paper, and I use the wax paper, but they look so much alike that I put a rubber band around the wax paper just so I don't grab the wrong thing. But you can take some of that natural wax paper. Oh, well, I actually have some because I greased the pan. So I did grease the pan with coconut oil, and I put a piece of parchment paper in, and I greased it again. But with this, what is left, I'm going to grease this measuring cup, because this is going to release the honey, and it's going to be so easy. Wait till you see how easy it is to pour the honey out. And we need a 1/2 a cup of honey. So again, I'm going to measure this at eye level. And we're almost there. Because if you don't read it at eye level, it's not accurate. And baking is when your measurements are more important that they're accurate, because baking, it's a chemical reaction so that the product rises correctly. Whereas if you're making a soup or a stew or a casserole, the measuring isn't as important. So other than the eggs, I just want to double check. I want to go over my recipe. I put in the black beans, the coconut oil, the cocoa, the salt, the vanilla, the honey, and the essential oil. We have to, I didn't put the essential oil in. Okay, so same thing. You can just over here do 2 drops, or if you want to be safe, you could do it in a spoon. But again, I like it, so I don't care if some extra comes out. So I'm going to do 2 drops. All right, so now we're going to mix this up in the food processor. Put it in. And I just realized my little cap was missing. Okay, so this is going to be loud for just a second, or a few seconds. Okay, great. So food processors are so good. And then again, because I'm going to reach in, I'm going to unplug it. In the meantime, I'm going to whisk 3 eggs. And technically, you should, I should do it the right way. Crack each one separately. Oh, I want to tell you about these eggs too. Just in case one is bad, you don't want to ruin your whole recipe. Do you notice how yellow those are? See the yolk? These are pastured eggs. I saved the, yeah. While I'm cracking these, I'll tell you the difference between regular eggs, cage-free, and pastured. So pastured eggs are ideal. That's why the yolks are so yellow, because these hens are out eating grass. I mean, it sounds gross, but they're eating grass and weeds and worms and all kinds of things. But that's what they're supposed to be eating. They're not supposed to be eating grain that was, grain that was grown with pesticides and that kind of thing. That's all not good. free range, so free range just means there's a door to the hen house. So regular eggs come from hens that are just cooped up in a hen house and they can't move. That's regular eggs. And it's disgusting and it's dirty and it's probably filthy. Free range means they put a door. So if the hens happen to be near the door, they can get out. But they're still fed grain full of pesticides and that kind of thing. So free range doesn't mean much. You really want the pastured eggs. Pastured means they're outside and they're eating what they're supposed to be, eating. Okay, so let's open this up. And be very careful with your blade here. We're going to put our ingredients in this bowl. So first I'm going to get everything off the blade. And then when you put the blade in the sink, don't put it in a sink full of soapy water because you could reach in and cut yourself. I don't know. I think I don't know, you can't see the full view, but when I go over to my sink, I'm just putting this behind the faucet so it doesn't get mixed up with dirty dishes and I can treat it carefully. All right, so everything else in the food processor goes in this bowl. And always use a spatula to get every last bit. We have a nice thick brownie mixture here. It smells delicious. I wish you could be with me. It smells like chocolate and peppermint, which again are great flavors to go together. I just want to get every last bit. That we can. Okay, and then we're going to follow. I don't know why the recipe says this. I've made this recipe so many times, but they want the eggs folded in. So when you fold in eggs, the idea is you go over and under, you go over and under. The idea is not to just stir all the air out of the product. So I'm going to use this spoon, and I don't know if you can see, it doesn't look like an easy thing and it takes a while. So just be patient. Don't think anything is wrong. Just take your time folding in those eggs over. Like when I first made this, I was like, what? This is never going to work, but it really is. And then as I'm doing this, I want to tell you that you can just leave the recipe as is, but I like to add some chopped nuts or healthy chocolate chips. I like a little bit of texture in the brownie. So this is, again, be patient with this step. I'm trying to be patient because I know I'm making you wait, but it will happen just over and under, and it will become a combined mixture. Okay, so then I'm going to add some chocolate chips. And I put about a half cup in. These are called Enjoy Life, and they're a healthier version. It's 100% real chocolate, and it says that it's allergy friendly and it's non-GMO. So you don't have to measure exactly. I put about a half a cup in there. So I'm just going to judge. I like chocolate, so I'm just going to put that in. If you want to use a half cup measure and measure exactly a half cup, that's fine, but it's not necessary. And just fold that in, and then we're going to put this in our pan. We're going to bake it, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about essential oils. So a lot of people grease with butter, and I guess that's because butter tastes good, but butter burns at a lower temperature. Coconut oil, it takes a lot more before it'll burn. And being that there's coconut oil in here, as I said, I used a piece of natural wax paper. I used coconut oil. I greased the 8-inch square pan. I put a piece, I just want to show you. You just cut a square of parchment paper. That's going to help release the brownies when they're done. So it makes it even less likely they're going to stick. And then I'm just going to put the batter in the 8-inch square pan. All right, and then we'll spread this around evenly. I really wish I could share this with you, and I hope that some of you try it. It's just such a nice idea. You know, if you take just a little time, sometimes it doesn't take too much effort, and you could make yourself such nice alternatives and still be satisfied, still have chocolate. Like, I can't say it enough how delicious that peppermint water is with a little square of this, and it just satisfies those cravings. And yes, depending, I'm just going to even this out and get the air bubbles out. Okay, I'm going to put that in the oven, and let's see, I forgot it has to bake for, I have it written down. Let's see. 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to put it on 25. We'll probably be done before it comes out. So I'm going to pick up the computer. I'm going to go back to where I was sitting. Again, if you need a stretch break or a bathroom break, this will take me about 30 seconds, and I'll be right over in the other area. Okay, so if this is a great time to ask questions before I go on to the second part. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, now I can see the questions. The brownies look like fudge. Yes, they have a fudge-like consistency. I don't know if you could. Well, you know, the lighting doesn't make them look so good, but yes, they're not cake-like. They are definitely more fudge-like. Can you use pink Himalayan salt? I have not tried that, but I would, and I wouldn't change the measurement, especially with when they say an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Some people, some cookbooks say an 1/8 teaspoon is a pinch, but really, to me, an 1/8 of a teaspoon is a little more than a pinch. So I say go for it. Why not? You know. Why not? And speaking of pink Himalayan salt, I want to give you another idea, which is going to come up in the slides. But you can make some really nice seasoned salt. And again, pink Himalayan salt, it's full of different minerals that are really good for you. You could take, for example, oregano, rosemary, and thyme. Oregano, rosemary, and thyme. And have to taste. You have to keep your salt in a tight jar. So maybe use a small mason jar or any jar with a tight lid, and put a drop of each oil in a small amount, maybe a cup or a half a cup of your salt, and stir it around, and you'll have a nice seasoned salt. It's really good. The other thing you could do is, like, so let's pick, I'm trying to think what might be nice, rosemary. Oh, and you could, when you make those salts, you could put a little bit of dried rosemary in it, and those seasoned salts make nice gifts too. But when this is empty, the rosemary or maybe the basil, when the jar is empty, fill it up with some pink Himalayan salt and close it, because when there's always a little bit of residue of the oil left, even though nothing is there that you see that you pour out, keep it in that, and it'll season, and you'll have a nice little bit of seasoned salt. So that's good. Okay, I'm going to go back to the slides, but feel free to continue to use the chat. And we have a couple more things that we're going to learn. I don't know what happened. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, so here are just a couple of tips. Some of them I mentioned before, just a reminder, they're very potent. Only 1 or 2 drops, or a toothpick method. Start small. Drop the oil on a spoon or over a bowl, not directly, in case too many drops come out. Remember, once the oils are in, they're potent and you can't take them out. And this doesn't apply to baking, but if you're making a salad dressing or an oil dip, which we're going to go over, add the oil close to the serving time. I explained to avoid plastic and never use, I also explained this, just to review, only pure plant essential oils, you have to be very careful there. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a video that's on YouTube, and this is how to make a cauliflower pizza crust. This is the recipe, which you will get. This is the these are the directions. I'm going to just open up another window in my screen share if I can. Actually, I think I'm going to show it to you from here. I'll see if I can expand it. Okay. This is on YouTube. So that was really cool. You're going to get the recipe. And again, if you want to see them do that, you can watch that on YouTube. Yeah, let me just see if I can quickly get to the next. Okay, sometimes just bear with me. So, okay. Just stop it. Okay. All right, now I could get to the next slide. Oh. All right. So let me just. All right. I wanted to give you a couple more hints and tips, but I wanted to give you the full screen. So just let me just try to fix something. Screen share. I might not be able to do it. Okay, there it is. So after I show a video, for some reason, I don't get the exact full screen. So that's what we just did. Oh no, here we go. Okay. All right, we're all set. Some more hints and tips. These are just substitutions. If you need the juice of a citrus fruit, you would use 10 to 15 drops of the oil. A tablespoon of herbs or spices equal a drop or less. A teaspoon equals a toothpick swirl. And also don't burn oils. I showed you the diffuser before, and I made a point to tell you that this is a cool mist, because heat destroys the properties of essential oils. I also want to mention, when I did a lot of research for cooking with essential oils, many people say, oh, it has therapeutic benefits. I don't want to emphasize that, because if it has any heat at all, just like with the diffuser, you use cool water. It's not ideal to use essential oil. They have those little diffusers with candles. You don't want to mix heat with essential oil. So if you cook a sauce, or if you say if you're rubbing the inside of a chicken that you're going to roast and you use some essential oils, that's fine, because all the aromatic compounds will be there. But I don't want to emphasize that this is really any large amounts that is going to give you any therapeutic benefits. Yes, maybe if you drink lemon in your water every day, but I don't want to emphasize that. But I also want to emphasize, don't burn the essential oils. You want to use low temperatures. This is the seasoned salt idea that I told you about. Here is about filling your empty bottles with the pink Himalayan salt. You can make a little, like with the lime essential oil, make a little lime salt and add that to your guacamole. Here's the lime. That's lime essential oil. That smells really nice. Okay. And I explained rosemary, oregano, basil. You can make up anything you want and make a nice salt. So here's a recipe for a marinade, and you could use this with chicken or fish, and it has lime in it. But as I told you before, you could use citrus fresh. You can use oregano and thyme, anything at all that you want to use on your marinades. And remember, after you use a marinade, throw it out because it was sitting in the raw protein. Don't ever reuse that. This is really fun. This is, again, entertaining ideas. This is an Italian bread dip, and this is using oregano vitality essential oil. Okay, and that's such a simple recipe. I know I said it before, but I just want to say again, if you want your entertaining and what you serve to be just a little different, I just think these are such nice ideas. This is a dipping oil for French bread. It just, I mean, you could put, it doesn't matter Italian or French, it's just another idea. This one has oregano, thyme, basil, and rosemary, and some Parmesan cheese. You're going to all get off this being very hungry. Here's a recipe. You can use this with vegetables. Here's lemon buttered green beans, and this is featuring lemon essential oil. You can even make lemon butter. You know, I don't know if any of you ever soften butter and put it in fancy butter molds, but you can add a little lemon essential oil to your butter as you're softening it and then put them in the molds. Here's an orange glazed honey ham, and the oils that we use here are orange, cinnamon bark, and clove. Okay, and here's a salad dressing. Okay. I have another video for this I'm going to show you at the end because somehow when I show videos, I lose my full screen. So I'm going to I'm almost at the end. These are cheesy potato wedges, and these have oregano and basil essential oils in them. And that's going to be the video. And I think that's my last slide. Let me just check. Oh, let me just check. Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you my contact information again. I'm going to go back and show you the video. Then you can unmute yourselves. We can have questions and answers, anything else that you want to talk about with either cooking with essential oils, or if you have any other questions, exactly what essential oils are or how they are used. Again, this is my website, and I love to teach, and I hope my blog articles are helpful to you. I also have a lot of videos on YouTube and some fun stuff on it. Oh, I did on Instagram, those orange cranberry cookies. I did one of those reels on Instagram for that. So anyway, I hope you're enthralled with these oils as much as I am and you want to learn more. So let me show you this recipe for the cheesy potato wedges. And also you will get the recipe, and this is, oh, what did that do? And this is on YouTube. Okay, so who's hungry now? All right. I would love it. Feel free. Let me see if there's anything in. Okay, nothing new in the chat. Feel free to use the chat or unmute yourselves. I'm really curious what your takeaway from tonight's program was. If you would be open to trying any of these things, or it was like, oh, that's interesting, but I'm not going to do it. So I would love to hear from you if anybody wants to use the chat. Otherwise, I'll just, I guess I could show you a couple more oils or think of a couple of other odds and ends, but that's really what I wanted to present to you tonight. So I do hope you enjoyed it. And if you can, if there's anything you want to ask, either unmute yourself or use the chat. Let me see. There's also, I'll show you a couple other essential oils that, I mean, like I said, there's like around 40 of them. Parsley. I showed you cinnamon bark. This is nice in baked goods also. And Betsy, thank you, Betsy. Yeah, I thank you for re-emphasizing that. The fact that, you know, if you have a little bunch of these, you're always good to go, you know? And they, oh, you know what? I'm so glad you said that because it reminded me something else I want to say. These do not easily spoil. Always tightly close your essential oil bottles because they're volatile and they will evaporate. Keep them out of the sunlight in a cool place. Most of these will last almost indefinitely. Citrus oils spoil quicker than everything else, but I'm talking years and years and years, 10 or so. I've heard 20. I don't really know. Hopefully you'll use it before then. But again, along with what Betsy said, it's it's economical because you have this, you're not buying all the fresh produce all that time, and it'll last for a long time. And they're always available. They're handy. You know, it's not like, oh, I have to run out. So anybody else? I'd love to know, anybody else want to share their takeaways? Okay, let's just see if there's anything I didn't show you. You know what? I'll teach you one. How about one more thing tonight? I think I showed you a nice variety of the oils, the peppermint. I'm just seeing if there's anything else. I'll tell you a little bit about, oh, there's lemongrass. That's a different one. Some of the ones that I have. Oh, coriander. Coriander is cilantro. Mountain savory. That's a plant. I use this for immune support, but you can cook with it. All right, so let me just tell you, I'll teach you one more thing tonight, and then we'll end it. Are any of you familiar with Thieves essential oil? Oh, let's see. Oh, you could, I happen to use Young Living. I mean, you could do your research, but that's the ones that I use, and I get that online. So the Thieves essential oil, this you can, like I said, you could make a tea out of this. This has a lot of nice immune supporting properties. It's made with clove, cinnamon bark, lemon, eucalyptus, and rosemary. And the reason it has that name Thieves is because it was named after, there's a legend that during the time of the Black Plague, there were a bunch of criminals who were thieves, and they were robbing the dead and dying, and they weren't getting sick. So when the authorities got them together and said, tell us your secret or you're going to jail or whatever the legend is, they turned out they were spice traders, and these were the types of oils that they were rubbing all over them, and it was protective of them. So if you were to do research on these individual oils, a good source of research is pubmed.gov. That's PUB for public, pubmed.gov. They do a lot of research studies on essential oils. There are also essential oils reference books, and you can, you know, see there's some of these oils you will read about antibacterial properties, antiviral properties. So I do like to use these in teas, and I like to diffuse them and put them in honey, and, you know, I gargle with them. The vitality, that's what's nice, the vitality. The orange, you can put orange or Thieves, a drop on your toothpaste. Orange is good for whitening your teeth. Thieves keeps everything in your mouth sparkly, fresh, and clean. So a drop of that, because they're Vitality and because they're labeled for ingestion, you can gargle with, we gargle with Thieves too. You can gargle with them. You can put them in your mouthwash or use them in place of a mouthwash or put them on your toothbrush. So yes, for thieves for the tea. Remember, it has cinnamon bark in it and it is clove, so it's that spicy cinnamony. I like to add some honey to that, and I also, you can also add a drop of orange essential oil to that and some kind of maybe, I was gonna say that's a natural sweetener, but like a squeeze of lemon, a squeeze of orange, or a drop of orange, or lemon essential oil, or just as it is, or just plain without the honey, if you're good with that. Sure, it's all ingestible. So anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you very much. I hope that you learned something and that it was interesting, and that you try some of these recipes, and I wish you good luck with your cooking and your health. And thank you guys. You're a great audience. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.